Hey everybody, I hope you can hear me over the noise of the wind here. It's about 10 after 7 Friday evening, November 5th, and we're in the slip at the St. Augustine Municipal Marina. And the reason we're in a slip is because of this wind, which it started picking up yesterday. We did a ICW run from Fernandina Beach, got in here yesterday afternoon, and the wind started picking up a bit then. And we'd initially thought about doing an offshore run from Fernandina Beach to St. Augustine, but a friend of Ann's recommended we rethink that because of the winds coming in the St. Augustine inlet, which is kind of precarious at the best of times. They don't even chart the markers, aids to navigation on the charts, because they have to change them so often, so frequently, because of shifting sand and shoaling and that sort of thing. So it's not even marked on the charts. So anyway, we decided that prudence was the best part of valor, and did the ICW yesterday and had an enjoyable day, and got here. I think we made the 3:30 bridge opening. This is the Bridge of Lions, right to the north of the marina here. I think you can see cars going across. Well, anyway, as we were waiting for we came across the opening of the inlet, and then we're maneuvering, waiting for the 3:30 bridge opening, and we heard on the radio I think they were French Canadian. A couple had run onto the shoals or been blown onto the shoals because the wind was picking up yesterday afternoon. So they were in bad shape, and I think the sheriff's department boat and a jet ski went out there and managed to pull them off before anybody was seriously hurt. We did ask, or did hear on the radio, that they were asking the people if they wanted to get off the boat, and I think they declined. So anyway, had that excitement yesterday afternoon, and then early this morning, as the wind continued to pick up, two boats north of the bridge, a number of boats at moorings and at anchor just to the north of the bridge, and I'm thinking an Irwin catch, maybe a 65-75 footer. Supposedly it either lost its anchor or dragged or something, and there was a single hander aboard, and he managed to maneuver away from the bridge and keep from hitting any of the other boats. And we saw that boat later this morning tied up just off of the breakwater north of the breakwater jetty, whatever, north of the bridge. And but then we heard that another boat had actually dragged and the mast of the boat was under the bridge, another sailboat, and there were 3 people and some pets aboard, but evidently they were able to, I guess Towboat US or somebody towed them out, and I saw some pictures of them later in the day, and looks like the boat got away with very minimal damage, if any, and I'm surprised they didn't lose the mast and the rig. But anyway, it's only getting more interesting. This boat with the red light just behind me is a Coast Guard rib, I guess, and they had their blue lights flashing a little while ago. And then there's another boat over here to the south that had lights, red lights on a little while ago, and so I don't know whether people are already having problems as the winds pick up, but I would not doubt it. The forecast is for gusts in the upper 40s, I think 47 knots by 8 o'clock, and that will evidently continue until about 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, being Saturday morning, and so a very significant and hairy weather event unfolding here at St. Augustine. Ann and I walked around town. We needed to go to the post office so she could mail something for another birthday, and we walked quite a bit, got soaking wet, went through the St. George Street, where all the little shops and restaurants and things like that are in the old town St. Augustine, and had a good time doing that. Came back, worked on some boat projects, which there's an endless number of them, and I did get I guess a similar YouTube video uploaded this afternoon from where we were again waiting for a nor'easter to blow through while we were at Carolina Beach, and so since then we left Carolina Beach. I forget off the top of my head what day we left, but we went from there through Snow's Cut to Cape Fear River and then down to Southport, and we had initially intended to go offshore at Cape Fear River inlet and see how far we could get, and doing an overnighter from there. Well, the weather prediction was not too good for that, so we fueled up at Southport and did a ICW day down to Little River Inlet, just across the border from into South Carolina from North Carolina, and we anchored that evening behind a island called Bird Island that's a stone's throw from the inlet, and there was one other sailboat, actually a 65-foot Hatteras sailboat, one of 3 built by Hatteras. And interestingly enough, I had met them up in Solomon's. They had rented a slip on the end of Sea Dock where my boat was as a transient for one night, and so I had walked down, looked at the boat, saw the nameplate on it, and thought, well, Hatteras doesn't make sailboats. And then the couple that was aboard walked by, and I talked to them. They said, well, yeah, they made 3 of them, and it's got twin diesels in it, and evidently a pretty nice boat. But anyway, small world, they were anchored there as well, and it was a decent anchorage. The wind was blowing from the southeast, I think, most of the afternoon and evening, so we didn't have any protection from the wind, but had little wave or current action going on, and so it was okay until the next morning when we went to leave and go out the inlet, and for the life of me I could not get my anchor up, and it almost pulled the windlass out by the roots, and I drove over it trying to free it, and eventually got it up to where it broke the surface of the water. And what was happening was I had snagged an old Danforth style rusted anchor that somebody had lost there, and it had a line still attached to it that was attached to something underwater, and it just would not let go. And so anyway, the guy from the Hatteras had his dinghy in the water, and he saw I was having trouble, and so he came over, and I handed him my pocket knife, and he cut the line on the Danforth anchor, and so I was able to get my Manus anchor up, and we were able to get out of there, but we, I guess, lost 15 or 20 minutes. But anyway, very grateful to the captain of Akula, the 65-foot Hatteras, for saving the day there. And so from there we did a overnighter, 130 some miles to the South Edisto River in South Carolina, down below Charleston. We crossed the Charleston shipping channel at 3 o'clock in the morning, and dodging ships and tugs, and don't want to do that again. Anyway, that was a bit on the hairy side, and but we made it safely the next morning into South Edisto River, and a nice anchorage up the river. Put the dinghy in the water, and we dinghied into the marina there, and nice little marina, a lot of empty slips. They had a marina store, and we went in there, and then there's a restaurant above the store, and so we went up there and figured we would just have a drink and maybe an hors d'oeuvre, and ended up making a dinner of it, and had a glass of wine, and fried mushrooms and bacon wrapped scallops. So we made a dinner off of hors d'oeuvres, and we're stuffed. It was all very good. The food was good, the service was good, very timely, no complaints whatsoever. So if anybody finds themselves looking for a place to tuck away and get off the beaten path, I'd recommend South Edisto River. Nice anchorage up there. I think we were in 9 or 10 feet of water. From there, we did another overnighter, and it wasn't quite as stressful. The wind was a bit milder, and so we made it from there to Fernandina Beach, Florida. Came in there day before yesterday in the morning, and the wind was picking up as we came in, and then we heard later on that a couple of boats had capsized in the wind later that day, and and a powerboat that came into Fernandina Beach Marina had run aground while going 19 knots and had a delivery captain on it, and who evidently was less than qualified, and threw him to the deck, and they brought him out in a cervical collar, and evidently his arm in a sling. And we talked to the owner of the boat briefly, and he was a bit shaken up by the whole thing, and asked him if he was familiar with Aquanaps, which has the Corps of Engineers soundings of the ICW and inlets and things, and he'd never heard of it, and neither had the delivery captain he was paying to help him get this boat to Florida. I don't know. But we made it in safely, and had a nice time in Fernandina Beach. We were able to get laundry done and walked around the town a little bit, and lots of shops and little restaurants and things. Had a really nice lunch at Brett's on the waterfront right there at the marina. So that was good, and gave us a chance to regroup after 2 back-to-back overnight offshore runs. But yeah, to be honest with you, we were able to skip most of South Carolina and all of Georgia, which are infamous for, you know, the shoals and shallows of the intercoastal waterway going through those 2 states. So we were happy to skip that. And from there, yesterday was a fairly tranquil, leisurely ICW run from Fernandina Beach to St. Augustine. As I said earlier, we had originally planned to go offshore, and changed our mind when we found out what the winds were going to be by yesterday afternoon. And